Donald Trump has won the New Hampshire primary, making him the only candidate in history to win the New Hampshire primary 3 times. Last week checks, a little over 95% of the votes were counted, where Donald Trump had secured 54.5% so far, and Nikki Haley is trailing second with 43.2%. The polls closed at 8 p.m. local time on Tuesday. To the surprise of many, Haley's second position has not prompted her to quit the race. In fact, right after the results, she went on stage and called herself a fighter.
New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go. And the next one is my sweet state of South Carolina.
The truth is that the odds are against Nikki Haley. New Hampshire was her best bet. It was a state with moderate Republicans and independents. Haley spent tens of millions of dollars on her campaign there and even had the endorsement of the state's governor. But she still couldn't win New Hampshire. The question is, how does she expect to do better in more conservative states? In broader Haley world, there are now concerns among some of her donors about what happens next. Her team needs to figure out if she can actually afford to stay in the campaign longer. After the early results, Donald Trump addressed his supporters. The win confirms his status as the frontrunner for the Republican presidential nominee. In fact, history is on his side as well. Any candidate who has won both the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary has gone on to become the presidential nominee. Donald Trump also became the first Republican presidential candidate who was not a White House incumbent to carry the nation's first 2 contests. While Trump spoke about his victory, he also aired frustration with rival Nikki Haley.
She was up and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost. You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now, 3. We win it every time. We win the primary, we win the generals, we've won it, and it's a very, very special place to me. It's very important. And just a little note to Nikki, she's not going to win. She's not going to win.
Nevada is next on the primary list, but more importantly will be South Carolina on the 24th of February. This is Nikki Haley's home state. She's projected to lose there as well. Trump has the endorsement of most of the state's Republican establishment, including Senator Tim Scott. The former president's legal battles have become a successful campaign tool. It has worked in his favor till now, something he even says doesn't know why. All right, for more on this, we are joined by our correspondent, Nick Harper, live from Manchester, New Hampshire. Nick, great to see you. You're on the ground there. What are your key takeaways from what happened last night in New Hampshire?
Well, Susan, it's all over here in New Hampshire, and in many ways, the whole primary contest is over as well. I think there is that sense of inevitability that Donald Trump, after winning big in Iowa and winning here in New Hampshire, is very much on course to clinch that Republican nomination. Nikki Haley says that she is staying in the fight, but it's really a matter of time. You mentioned the calendar over the next few weeks, Nevada, then South Carolina, even South Carolina, where she was governor but is expected to struggle. I think one of the takeaways is really this was her biggest hope of winning any state contest, but also trying to change the trajectory of this primary contest between her and Donald Trump. She was presenting herself as an alternative to Donald Trump, but voters here in New Hampshire quite simply said they didn't want an alternative. They wanted Donald Trump himself. She was hoping to win over those moderate, independent voters, many of them college educated. And she is going to struggle further down the line in other states because Donald Trump dominates when it comes to working class, non-college educated voters. And we're going to see many of those in future state primary contests. So she had to win here, or at least come very close in second place behind Donald Trump. That 11 to 12% gap between the two of them suggests that she just didn't do enough. Even President Biden has accepted that it now has come down to a rematch between himself and Donald Trump, putting out a statement last night after those results came out saying it is now clear that Donald Trump will become the Republican Party nominee.
Yeah, very interesting to see as well. You talked about President Biden himself. It seems he's turning to White House aides to help him with his low poll numbers on the campaign trail. His critics say the more he stays inside, the better chances he has of becoming president once again. But frankly, it seems that he's trying to really, shore up this group of aides around him for his reelection campaign. What are your thoughts regarding Joe Biden moving forward into these primaries?
Yeah, Joe Biden is still having that difficult juggling act between running the country but also trying to run a re-election campaign. He's getting out on the campaign trail, often speaking about this idea of Bidenomics, that he has done well for the economy. And yet the problem is, in national polls amongst voters, that there is this perception gap. They don't feel that the economy is doing well. They still feel that inflation is too high, that prices at the grocery store are still out of reach for many of them. And I think there is this issue for President Biden that he needs to find a message that resonates with voters. And at the moment, the economy, which he's pushing hard on, doesn't seem to be the issue, because I was in Iowa, I was here in New Hampshire as well, and speaking to voters here on the ground, they keep coming back to this idea of inflation and the economy. And they feel that under President Trump, his 4 years in the White House, America did much better, and that things have gone in reverse gear over the last 3 or so years under President Biden. So inflation and the economy is something that is a message for both sides. But at this stage, it seems to be winning out more for Republican voters, a motivating force for them, which is likely to propel them to the polls in November.
Right. And we also have that issue of the border crisis, which even those here in a blue state like New York are concerned about. We'll see how abortion plays out moving forward in the general as well. Nick Harper, thank you so much for joining us. Always great to talk to you.